Hello, hello. It's Julie Davison from juliedavison.com. Welcome to Thursday Night Stamp Therapy. It is Thursday, September 12th, 2024, and I am so happy you are joining me tonight. We are doing one of my very favorite things tonight. Can you guess what it is? We're going to case the catalog. Do you guys know what CASE means? C-A-S-E. Now, it has a couple different definitions for this acronym. A lot of people say copy and share everything or copy and steal everything, but I prefer copy and selectively edit because there are just so many different ways that you can customize the cards that you find in the catalog to make them your own. And so today I'm going to show you how to case the catalog, how to tweak everything and make it just your own. So we are looking at the September through December 2024 Stampin' Up! Mini catalog. This one just came out last week. Oh my gosh, what are you guys loving about it? Last week I did a little video. I shared 75 project ideas using products from the new mini catalog, and I think you'll find some inspiration for just about everything in that video. So if you haven't seen it, be sure to find it on my channel. I'm so happy that we get to open up and look at the catalog. In a recent video, I shared some projects that were inspired by the Sentimental Christmas Suite. This one's on page 29. And at the time, I couldn't show you I couldn't show you the projects in the catalog. You were just looking at the projects that I made. And I didn't even pull those out because I wasn't planning to share them again. But it included this one, which I adapted from this project. It included this one, which I copied almost exactly with a few little changes. And then it also included, oh my gosh, I love, well, the one that I made like 4 times. That was this one, this project here. And I made like a bunch of different versions. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely go check it out. Today we're going to make 3 new projects inspired by projects that were created by Stampin' Up! Concept artists for the mini catalog. Now, if you are not familiar with this document, you can check it out. I linked it up in the live chat. It's also linked up in the video description. This is the project supply list. This is something that Stampin' Up! Has published every time there's a new catalog release. This is just a graphic that I made up. When you print it out, if you want to print the whole thing, it is 71 pages. So maybe you don't want to print the whole thing. Maybe you just want to look at it online or print a few pages that you need. I just printed a few just to show you what they look like. Now, a lot of these have just a list of the supplies, the stamp set name, the cardstock colors, the ink colors, the tools they used, but there still is a lot of guesswork as to how they put it actually together. There are some projects that will give you a little bit of instruction. Sponged with a dauber, layered old olive first, and then mossy. Oh, that's good to know because we're going to make that one today. But there's also some that have a little bit more of instructions. For example, this Regal Winter project here on page 34 has some measurements and scoring measurements and a little more instruction here. Not all the projects have instructions. And so this is definitely not an instruction document. And I don't want you to expect that every project is going to have some instructions. Sometimes it's just a little hint or there's some technique, notes here. Mostly it is a project supply list. It's going to tell you the supplies that were used to make the project. So you can download this and get it. I posted it on my site, but if you're a demonstrator, you'll also find this on the Demonstrator website, Demonstrator View. It's under Business Resources Print Lab. And then there's a category for products. And this is the first bullet point under that one. It's called September to December 2024 Project Supply List or something like that. So I'm so happy that they make this available because sometimes I look at it and I'm just like, what stamp set did they use? Or what color is that? Or what designer paper is that? And then I figure out like, oh, that's something I wouldn't have thought to use. Because those concept artists over at the home office are so creative. Like, for example, on this project, page 36, it says they pulled threads from the ribbon into pieces to add a nest behind the label. So I might not have known exactly what ribbon was used, but I can check out the list. I can see, and I see their little notes and can make it my own. Tell me if you love to case the catalog. I love it so much that I always challenge my team every time there's a new catalog to case the catalog. And I love to see how they interpret the projects. And sometimes it's just a matter of copying exactly the project just as it appears. And sometimes they make little changes to make it their own. Well, I'm going to start today with this project right here. This one's actually not on the supply list. It doesn't appear in this document at all. And I think perhaps because it's just inside the cover and it's not like in with the stamp sets. But this one caught my eye from the very beginning. And I was so happy to be inspired with this stamp set, the Reindeer Days. So first, let's take a quick look at the suite. I'm going to go over here and find it. Reindeer, oops, I almost had it and then I skipped right by it. Reindeer Days. This one is so fun. It has some designer paper, of course, 12 by 12 designer paper with these cute little reindeer. I just love the Christmas, the traditional classic Christmas images and colors. The bells, the holly, the trees. We've got the red and green and more green. Traditional colors, traditional patterns with the lights and the plaid and the presents. And of course, we also have images that die cut with the coordinating stamp set and dies. This is the Reindeer Fun stamp set and coordinating dies, which has some detailed dies as well as some dies that die cut the outline and a little die that die cuts the frame. Now this suite also includes an embossing folder, this really fun forever plaid. This is going to be so good to use with so many different suites, not just this one. There also is the amazing, oops, wrong package. The other one's amazing too. Real red and white adhesive back peppermints that are so popular. They've temporarily sold out. But they should be back in stock next week. So check back if you're anxious about getting the peppermints and some coordinating real red and white twine, baker's twine. I always love a good baker's twine. Well, I'm going to case the project which uses these, but we'll substitute something else since those aren't currently available. Let me show you a couple cards with this one. Oh my gosh, I haven't made any myself, but here are some swap cards. This one from Kay Cogbill, using some of that awesome designer paper with the presents. And then both these other cards are created by Rachel Chamberlain. I'm so excited to see her presentation at Vacation Stamping School. She used the stamp set here and colored a little bit. And then on this one, some detailed die cuts to make that deer with the wreath on its head. I love that. All right, so let's get started. I have prepared some pieces ahead of time to make our project go a little faster, and I'm just realizing I need to make sure that my embossing tool is plugged in. Let's see. Okay, now we're prepared. Okay, so for this card, I don't know how well you can see over here, maybe just a little bit. It's not even like a really great project picture, but I loved the colors and I loved the simplicity. For this project, we have a piece of early espresso cardstock for the base. I did change it up. I think it's pecan pie over here. A little piece of designer paper. This is 4 inches by 5 inches. I cut it a little short because it's a little short in the card from what I can tell. And then I kept that leftover strip. There was a 1-inch strip for the inside, and this is 1 inch by 4. And then the white is 4 by 5 1/4. I pre-die cut this frame, which we're gonna add some color to it before we take it totally apart. And then another white piece that's the same size, 4 inches by 3 3/4. And then some die cuts. So I die cut right from the designer paper. There are 2 dies that die cut from the paper. One of them is the mom and the fawn. And the second one is the prancer, the prancing reindeer. So stinking cute. Now some of these other images are spaced apart, so they're easy for fussy cutting. But the prancing one, well, this style, this direction coordinates with the die. The other ones will have to be cut out. Same with the fawns and the reindeer over here. Excuse me. Okay, so we're also going to do some embossing. I got some garden green cardstock strips. And before I do all of that though, I want to do some sponging. So it looks to me, even though I could not confirm because it wasn't on the supply list, it looks to me like they did some blending with the granny apple green on the white cardstock. So we are going to scoot our catalog out of the way and bring in our blending brush and our granny apple green. Going to grab my my scrap paper here as well. Oh no, Heather, I see your comment about changing the they changed the dates on the peppermints and now they're not going to be back until September 23rd. Thank you so much for that update. That is how it goes sometimes. Those dates get kind of changed. So just keep checking back. It'll be back in the store soon. And we're still at the beginning of the catalog period. So there's plenty of time to get those awesome embellishments. All right, I am wanting to make sure that I don't get that blob there. So I've got my granny apple green ink here, and I'm just going to lightly burnish the color. I'm not going to worry about that center because it's coming out, but I did leave it in for this blending because these little pieces are so skinny. I didn't want the blending brush to get caught up. And I thought it would be a lot easier while they were still kind of embedded in that cardstock. All right, this is looking really super bright. Did I grab the right color? Yes, I did. Maybe a light garden green would have been good, but I think this will go well with the designer paper. Now it looks to me like it's sort of darker at the top and then getting lighter. So I am going to try to keep it lighter here at the bottom. I'm using a smaller blending brush, but we also have a large blending brush and you can kind of use them interchangeably on your project. Do you guys use the blending brushes a lot? It's really fun for creating a beautiful background and sort of blending multiple colors. I'm just doing the one color for this project. I kind of love being able to make it darker, make it lighter. Okay, I think we're looking good here. So happy to see you guys all participating in the chat. Thanks for saying hello. If you're watching the replay, say hi in the comments too. I'm gonna grab my take your pick tool. Ooh, I got the die cut one. Let me see if I can get my little pad. There is an attachment available for the take your pick tool that is a die brush. And usually I use it while it's still in the die. But I think it can also help to loosen up the paper. And then I'm going to use the little pokey tool on the other part to kind of get in and get some of those details out. And this is what I was talking about. I'm so glad that I colored it first because I think that it would have easily torn had I tried to use the blending brush on some of these very delicate pieces here. So this is how you die cut the frame. I did the square and then it die cuts only like the center of it. So it doesn't completely die cut the whole thing out of the paper. So you want to make sure to cut your paper to the size you want it before you die cut that frame. So again, I'll add the measurements to the video description, but this one is 4 inches by 3 3/4. 4 inches long, 3 3/4 tall. All right, let's put this aside and see how this comes together. I do want to have that little white window underneath, so I'm going to glue these onto each other with some liquid glue. I thought about using, maybe I should have, oh well, hindsight's everything. I thought about using a little bit of Stampin' Dimensionals on the, around the edges, and I forgot I was going to do that until after I had liquid glue out all over it, so, oh well, next time. I'm going to sandwich those on top of each other. And then on our card over here, we're going to add, I'll bring in my regular Stampin' Seal for this part. We're going to add this to the card front. And our frame is going to go right on top. I'm debating on whether to cut a little bit more. I think I am going to cut it. One of the things that's hard when you're casing the catalog is it's hard to know how big pieces are. So a lot of times it's just about guessing. And I will guess a measurement and then I'll go back and you know, look at the catalog, sample, and see, like, is that about right? Oh, it looks like there's not quite as much, you know, space at the top and bottom of the frame, and I want more of the designer paper to show. So yeah, okay, that looks good. So my final measurement on this ends up being 3.5 inches instead of 3 3/4 inches. And I'll go ahead and add this down. Laura, I see your comment about the fine tip glue. Well, actually, we have a fine tip glue. I don't use that one very often. And the liquid glue, some people are getting fine tip bottles and adding the liquid glue there. I don't have a hard time with the liquid glue. Like I'm fine with it, but I know some people have gotten, I have one on my desk that has a fine nozzle that you can use with the liquid glue if you prefer that type of bottle. All right, oh, it's so cute. I just noticed that the reindeer has that sort of green in the background. And so I like the way that kind of pops the reindeer out from the green background here. And I think if I had it on a white background, the green would stick out. But since I've got it in the green background, it sort of like blends in nicely. I am going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of our die cut deer. And the one thing we still have to do, one of the things we still have to do is to emboss our sentiments. So we're going to do a little embossing. We've got a sentiment for the front and for the inside. And so I've got the little strips to do that. Now for the inside of the card, I'll go ahead and glue down the designer paper to the bottom. And again, I'm going to copy. I love that they show the inside of this card, which they don't usually show the inside of cards, but since this is sort of like more of a lifestyle image, you know, showing, you know, sending and making the card, we do get a little glimpse of the inside of the card there. So on the inside, there's a little designer paper at the bottom, the embossed sentiment, and then they use the same die cut, but I thought I'd go ahead and change it up and use a different die cut on the front, so, or on the inside. So I'm going to add this one here on the inside. And if I were sending a lot of these cards, oh, I just realized I gotta go a little higher to leave room for my sentiment. If I were making a bunch of these cards to send, I would fussy cut and use like all the different kinds of deer. I wouldn't just stick to the ones that we have dies for. All right, let's get out our embossing stuff. Do you guys emboss? This is such a fun technique. I don't do it a lot, but for a Christmas card especially, it seems like a very appropriately, an appropriate way to dress up your fun cards. So with the embossing, we're going to use the Versamark ink pad. We're going to get our embossing toolkit, which includes the Powder Pal and the tweezers, the embossing buddy, a little brush, and sold separately are the embossing powders. And we've got two different assortments of embossing powders. One is the basics and one is metallic. So the metallic has the silver, gold, and copper. And then the other one has black, clear, and white. And so we're going to use the white to emboss with today. These are the new Wow embossing powders. That's a brand name. And so you'll see Wow embossing powders elsewhere. Stampin' Up used to have some other embossing powder, and I think actually the vendor stopped making them, and so they had to source some new embossing powder. I've got my garden green cardstock strips ready to go, and so one of the first things, especially on small things where you've been touching it a lot, is you want to use your embossing buddy, and you want to put this across the cardstock. And this is sort of like those bags that gymnasts use with some powder in it to sort of get rid of that extra moisture on the cardstock, because we want the embossing powder to stick only to the cardstock and to the ink. I guess only to the ink, not to other parts of the cardstock. Okay, so we're gonna stamp our sentiments with the Versamark ink, and I've got these pre-cut. The bottom one is 7/8 inch, so it's a little bit smaller than 1 inch. And then the other one is a 1/2 inch, and so that's going to be for the front. It's going to have Merry Christmas. I'm going right in the middle of these long strips, and then that'll give me something to hold on to as I emboss. And then I can just cut the ends really easily. All right, I'm gonna put them over my tray and use some of that white embossing powder. So I'm gonna carefully sprinkle some on. I don't need a whole jar full, just a little bit. And that's what's great about using the embossing tray, the little, what do they call this? Powder Pal, is that you can then funnel with the tray. You can funnel all that extra powder that you're not using right back into the jar for next time. Using my little brush to kind of get rid of some of the extra powder that went where I didn't want it to go. And if you don't get that, it will emboss. And so you don't want the extra little stray marks. Then you want to use your little paintbrush or something to get that extra powder off. Very concentrated here. I got to make sure. There is one little bit by the M. Okay. Ooh, that was close. All right, so let's set those aside. I'm going to funnel this right back into the jar for next time. And you can use the brush if you need to brush that all in there. All right, put that back on. And the next step is to use the heat tool to heat and melt the powder. So I'm going to use my little tweezers here. Love those. They come in that embossing essentials toolkit, embossing additions toolkit. I'm going to turn on, there's two settings here, a 1 and a 2. And I'm going to use the second setting. And you're just going to heat it until it melts. And you can kind of tell because it gets darker and a little glossy. So just kind of move that heat back and forth over the image. See how it gets darker? There we go. It's like magic. Once the heat tool warms up, then the second one that you do is a lot easier. Now, I haven't had any problems with this newer one, but back in the day, I used to have problems with the heat tool overheating, and then it would just stop working. And so if you've ever had that happen, just kind of turn it off, maybe unplug it for a little while, let it cool down before you go at it again. If you're embossing a lot, making a lot of Christmas cards or cards for any occasion, it's very possible that your heat tool may overheat. Oh, somehow I clicked on, there we go. I clicked on the volume and I could hear myself. Okay. Oh no. Sharon says the first time she used it, she dumped it in her lap. Oh, I have dumped it on the carpet before. And that was kind of crazy because I was worried that it would get hot and then it would be in the carpet, and thankfully it came up okay. Deborah, hello from Australia. So happy you're joining us. I'm sorry, I'm so bad sometimes about keeping up with the comments, so I'm so glad you guys have your own little chat going on. Even if I don't always see all your comments. Oh, Marie Jo, my French is not that good. I understand a few of the words, but not many. And I don't know that I've got to translate on the chat right now. Oh, Michelle says, well, the first time she used embossing powder, it was held to an iron to heat it. The first time when I was like, I used to emboss and stamp when I was a young girl, like when I was 10. And I remember heating it over the toaster. I'd keep putting down the same piece of bread over and over again. And I'd hold the cardstock over the toaster to heat it. I didn't have a heat tool. I don't know if that was a thing back then, but an iron heat tool. I think Shelley Gardner tells a story about doing it over like a stove, like a hot pad. I can only imagine, like it would scare me to start a fire at another stamper's house. Okay, let's keep going on this card. I'm just going to use my scissors just to trim this. If you wanted to be exact, you could use your paper trimmer, but since it is such a small piece, I feel confident that I can just cut that down with my scissors and cut relatively straight. This is going to go on the inside here. That is just so cute. I love that. And I don't usually kind of go all out like this on my cards on the inside, and so it's fun to dress this one up. I really love that. Okay, I know I've asked you guys before, but do you stamp or decorate the inside of your cards? The outside of your cards in the back. I love that Sandy Almond does that. She sends in cards for the Great Big Card Swap, and she always has like coordinating images on the back. I just think it's so much fun. And then also, do you coordinate and stamp your envelope to match? As Shelly always says, no naked envelopes. All right, this is going on the inside of the card, and then we're going to add the sentiment to the front. We're going to do some more embellishing with some additional things. So on the front of the card, the original sample has a little banner tip. So I'm going to cut a little extra room off the edges here, and I'm going to cut a little banner. So I'm cutting up the center, and then from each corner up to that center cut to create the little banner tip. And doing the same thing on the other side. Okay. Oh yeah, so this is gonna go down here. I'm gonna do some Stampin' Dimensionals on this as well. And I'm gonna bring this back in to show you the original sample because I wanna show you the original embellishments. They are the peppermint and the red and white twine, but since they are currently out of stock, I wanted to show you an alternative that we can use instead. So here is, now again, it's hard to see because it's not exactly in focus, but isn't this just the cutest card? So they have a little bit of the baker's twine up in the corner and some of the peppermints, and I do love that little splash of red. I think that's super fun. And so if you have those embellishments or something similar, then go ahead and, you know, decorate that however you want. But since we don't have the peppermints in stock, I'm going to bring in some of this twine. This is from the Nest of Winter Suite, the Natural Tones linen thread. And another favorite of mine for embellishments are these pecan and clear ribbon adhesive back dots. These are from the online exclusives, but I just love them. You can tell I've used so many of them. And I thought that the brown would be really nice here. So I'm going to do a green bow, and then I'm going to do some of the embellishments with the brown dots. So I'm going to add some of these. I did 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll go ahead and do a little green bow with the baker's twine instead of the not black and white, red and white. I hope tonight that you feel inspired to case the catalog too. If it's something that you don't normally do, I hope that I inspire you to look at these projects in a new way. When I first started as a demonstrator 22 years ago, Stampin' Up! Used to call the catalog the idea book and catalog because the ideas are meant to inspire you, for you to copy, for you to, you know, be inspired and create them. And so even though it's not called the idea book and catalog anymore, it still very much is intended to be an idea book and catalog. And so whether you have the same stamp sets and, you know, accessories that I'm using, or if you substitute something, maybe you have something similar already at home, I hope that you feel inspired by my cards to turn to the catalog for inspiration. All right, let's get this put away. I'm going to add this bow on with a little mini glue dot. I feel like I have so much stuff on my desk. And I'm trying to clean up after myself so that I can move on to something else. Okay, I don't want to lose any dies. Look at all those dies. This one comes with so many. The detail dies that you can build presents with and holly with. There's bells, there's wreath, there's the frame, there's the detail dies for the images. So many dies in this one. This is the reindeer fun, and that's where the stamps came from too, the sentiments that I used. And then there are some coordinating stamp images to go with the deer that I die cut. So if you wanted to make a bunch of these cards, you could by stamping and die cutting the reindeer instead of cutting them from the designer paper. Little glue dot on there, and I'm just gonna add that right up in the corner. Oh, I love it! I love it so much more in person. Here is my card along with the original. So this is one that I kind of copied like pretty much exactly. I just changed out the embellishments, the twine and the little dots, but otherwise, yeah, almost exactly like the original sample. I can't wait to play some more with this Reindeer Days. I think it is such a fun suite, and the designer paper is so much fun. Jennifer says, I thought I was cheating until I learned it was okay to case a catalog. Absolutely. You know, we don't have to, I always say you don't have to be creative to make cards. You just have to know how to copy. Because like I said, the catalog is meant to copy, and I hope that you feel comfortable copying the cards that I share. I often copy ideas from other people, from swap cards that I get, from cards that I see. I just always try to give credit. So the credit for this one, I was inspired by the Stampin' Up! Concept artist in the annual catalog, and I hope that you are inspired too to create a similar card or one that looks exactly like this one. All right, let's keep going. We're going to case 3 cards tonight. So this is just the first one. I've kind of got some things set up. Oh my gosh, this suite is so beautiful, isn't it? This is the first suite. It's called Season of Elegance, and it's got this gorgeous tree theme with the stamp set and the dies. The embossing folder is amazing. It is called Painted Trees. Isn't that just fabulous? It has this awesome cherry cobbler ribbon, some of these gold texture adhesive back dots, this amazing foil designer paper, and then there's also this awesome little stamp set called Peaceful Season that's got all the sentiments in it. So we're going to use this today. We're actually, I'll use a little tree on the inside, but I was inspired by this card. I mean, all of them. This one too. I love those colors, but this one I just thought was really beautiful. They sponged. And so you can see right there, the sponge daubers and the 2 colors they used, Old Olive and Mossy Meadow. And I actually, until I read that at the beginning of the video, I was only going to use Mossy Meadow. So let's do Mossy Meadow and see how that one looks. Let me get out my supplies and put our reindeer aside for right now. That's good there. Let's turn around and grab our other stuff. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple card samples real quick with this suite. This one from Laura Bardo. She used that plaid embossing folder from the last suite. But look at this. I love how she tucked a little cardstock behind that tag. It has these little openings on the end. You can use ribbon or the cardstock the way she did. Here's a card from Ann Clemmer, and she used Mossy Meadow and some real red back there. So pretty. Die cut tree in the foreground, and then this great little set. So the Peaceful Season stamp set has all these great Christmas greetings, but the tags are really kind of fabulous. There's a lot of holes that you can weave ribbon or cardstock into. Here's the die that Laura used. And then there's a Christmas stamp that you can die cut with the outline, or you can die cut a detailed Christmas and layer it onto the outline. I like when they do that. So if you love sort of that detailed look, you can do a couple different colors. We've got some banners here, and the thing I love about the banners is that the center of the banner is rectangular, and that's important to note because sometimes we have banner dies and the inside of the banner is curved. And so if you don't have a stamp set that's curved, or you can't really bend the stamp set in the same way, it's hard to use them with other stamps. But I think what's great about this one having a rectangular center is that you could use other stamps besides Christmas with all of these labels. So this is a really versatile set. Even if you don't get the Christmas greetings, like maybe you have a lot of Christmas greetings already, maybe you just want to update your labels or get these really awesome ones. This is called Peaceful Season Dies. And you can get it separately. It doesn't have to be bundled with the stamp set. Although if you get them bundled together, then you save 10%. So that's always a plus there. But if you feel like you have a bunch of Christmas stamp sets, just use what you got, right? All right, I have pre-embossed a piece of basic beige cardstock. That's the color they used here. And this is sort of that new core color. They just added it last year, right? No, it was this year. Was it this year? This year. They just added it this year as sort of an extra neutral. So it's kind of like a little darker than Very Vanilla, and it's a heavier weight cardstock like the regular color cardstock. And so I have used that one. And then I decided instead of the Pretty Peacock, which I love, one of my favorite colors, I decided to go a little more traditional and use Cherry Cobbler instead. And then I've got a couple different options for the sentiments. I thought I would use the tag, but I also die cut the Christmas, so I might do like a Merry Christmas. I'm gonna do two options, and you guys can this or that and tell me what you think. So so happy you are joining us, Andrea. Welcome. We are casing the catalog tonight, so we're being inspired by the catalog, and my definition of case is copy and selectively edit. So I'm so I love doing this every time there's a new catalog. Sometimes I'm like overly obsessive about casing the catalog, but I do it anyway. Where did my paper go? Here it is. We're gonna get out the backgrounds that we used before, and in the sample they used Old Olive and Mossy Meadow, but I'm just gonna go at it with the Mossy Meadow and see what I think here. So, oh my gosh. You want to do kind of like a burnishing, like a rubbing here to kind of catch those pieces. Oh, it is so stunning. You have a lot of control with the fingertip sponge dauber, more so than the blending brush that we used on the first card. So I can really kind of get in to the places that I want to and not have to do like the whole background. So two different ways that you can sponge and add color to your card, the blending brush and the sponge dauber. And because some of these pieces, some of these parts of the embossing folder are raised a little higher, it sort of has this built in, like some parts are darker than others. And so I think you naturally get that lighter and darker even without using the Old Olive as they did in the sample. Wow. That looks so cool. I really, really love that. I'm really happy. That was so easy. So again, this is called what is it called? Painted Trees. the Painted Trees 3D embossing folder. I'll add a shopping list and all the measurements for my cards to the video description tonight after we're all done. So you can check that out and you can shop and you can, you know, get all the things that I did if you want to create exactly the same card that I did. Now, I did bring in some of that cherry cobbler ribbon because I think originally I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to take the ribbon and I'm going to weave it through and come around and bring it through and like tie a bow over here. But then after I die cut, what am I doing? After I die cut the, yeah, I think I want to do this. After I die cut the label, I realized that it was like as long as the, it was just as long as the trees. And so I was originally thinking that like you would see more of the label like this, but if I use the ribbon, like you really only see like the end of it, and then you'd see the bow over here. And so I don't know, it just seemed like a waste of ribbon to have all that ribbon around there. And if I were going to use the ribbon, then I think I would just do like a bow with the ribbon and then do that behind behind the label. Kind of like that. Or we have this Christmas and we could do the Merry Christmas. So let me show you both of the options. Let's do a little stamping here. And then I do have a piece for the inside, and I was going to do just some simple stamping with the trees from the Peaceful Evergreens. I've got ink on me. I want to come all the way across, but I'm going to go off the paper. So let's bring the grid paper back in. Oh, it's so pretty. These trees are so pretty. And then for the inside sentiment, and I think this will work no matter what we put on the outside. It says, wishing you all the things that warm your heart and lift your spirits. For the inside. Okay, so for the front, two options. One of them says, a season of wonder and happiness. Or we use the Christmas. And I kind of went backwards here. I die cut the I die cut it before I stamped it because I'm like, it's photopolymer. I can do it, right? Actually, I'm gonna go on the darker desktop so that I can easily see where the die cut is. Let's see how well I can do this. Oh, fingers crossed. I think I did it, guys. Not too bad. All right, let's see. Sharon says, can you put the die over part of the label and cut and put the cutting plate on it? Oh yeah, you totally could make it smaller. I would have to choose a smaller sentiment. That's the tricky part. But we could die cut another one and we could try that. All the best would be smaller. That would fit on a shorter label. Wishing you and yours, that's like a half a greeting. Wishing you and yours. Like then you would say Merry Christmas or something, but well, let's see what we got here. For the Merry, I am just going to stamp this like in the corner of the part that I die cut. I'm having weird, like, I don't know if I need to re-ink my cherry cobbler. Just having some issues. I'm going to move these really quick out of the way. So Merry Christmas or a season of wonder and happiness. How are you guys feeling? Give me a this or that. Tell me which way you're leaning. Let's take a look at what they will look like. I'm going to glue this down on, let's glue this on the inside and the other one on the front. And then we can have a little peek at what each one looks like. And just, oh, well, I guess if we're going to do, well, no, I'm not going to do the ribbon around this time. Another option could be to emboss this the other direction and have it be wider, and then do the this in, you can see the ribbon, you know, that kind of thing. But this card today is just vertical because that's what we've got done. We can save that other technique with the ribbon for another project. Okay, I see of this, I see of that, I see another that. Wishing you and yours all the best. That's on the inside already, Kathy. Let's bring our bow off the, let's get that off the roll. So pretty. It's just so pretty. Let's see, Janice says with the banner one, could always cut the ends off at the hole and use it that way. Yep, you could cut it. I don't mind it having the holes on there without it being used as holes, but I don't know, now that I look at it, maybe I do. Let's just cut that. And it also makes it a little bit shorter. Okay. A season of wonder and happiness, or the thing is with the Merry Christmas, I don't know how I would use the ribbon, but the original card does not have ribbon. Let's take a look at the original card again. So I would use the ribbon underneath the banner, or I would use the Merry Christmas. And see, here's the original sample. It has the Happy Christmas, love from my home to yours. And I just left out the pretty peacock. If I went with just Merry Christmas, I feel like I want to add a little like foil paper underneath. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of you say this. I sort of am leaning this way too. I see some of you saying, how about a smaller bow? So let's make that a little bit smaller. Let's cut the ends down. We'll save our Merry Christmas for another card. Doot, 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 doot. I'm going to use some tear and tape to tack down the bow. And then Stampin' Dimensionals to add the tag on the top. I got too smashed. How did I get ink on myself? Oh, it's from there. Oh, be careful. I think that's just right. I'm going to avoid the middle where the knot is so it doesn't make it too bulky. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty, you guys. All right, I've got a couple options for bling because we got to bling it up, right? For the bling, we're going to look at the ones that go with this suite. These are called gold texture adhesive back dots. But I kind of lean towards, first of all, let me close up on the gold as part of this ribbon. It's really pretty, right? I also kind of love something a little more subtle, like these iridescent foil gems. Let's do another this or that really quick. This or that. I'm very much leaning towards the more subtle and lighting the trees. Yes. Okay. Anne agrees. Fonda agrees. Maria agrees. I'm glad we're on the same page. Melissa too. Let's go with these. These are really gorgeous, and I've used them on some other cards, clearly, you can see. But I think for this one, I'm going to do, and I'm looking at the sample card, and I honestly didn't even notice the gems that were on the sample card because they were also very subtle. I know, just trying to get them on just right where I want them to be. I think I want to do 3 on the bottom. Okay, I did 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just sort of like a sprinkling of them. So pretty. Let's take a look at our sample in the catalog again. And this one we made a few more changes. We did the same technique and kind of used the same layout, but we changed the sentiment. We added the ribbon. We changed the colors. Instead of Pretty Peacock, I used a little cherry cobbler. And also now looking at it, I realized that I have a little more room on the sides, whereas this card has a skinnier part of the card base showing. Sherry says, I didn't think I needed this embossing folder. Now it's on my list. You need this embossing folder. It is so gorgeous. Though I have to say, we've had some other tree embossing folders that are also so gorgeous. And so if you have any of those, try this card with that one. I can't remember the names of the older ones, but I feel like we've had them even recently. What happened to my package? Oh my gosh. They are just all over the place. What a mess. It's like someone just scraped them against the table or something. Oh, I feel like I'm making a bigger mess in here. Let me show you one more card if I can find it really quick that uses this embossing folder. It was a swap card that I made. And I think it's in here. Oh, where did it go? No, nope. Please hold. Here it is. Okay. I love the way this turned out. Let me take it out of the plastic so you can see a little better. That embossing folder is just so gorgeous in the background. And then I added a little bit of that awesome Season of Elegance designer paper, little gold foil, one of the new Christmas labels bundle on the inside. Some simple stamping there. But yeah, this embossing folder is awesome. You need it. Painted Trees. That's what this one is called. And this was card number 2 that we cased from the new mini catalog. If you're just joining, welcome. Where you been? I'm just kidding. I talked about the Stampin' Up supply list. You'll find the link for this in the live chat. It's pinned there at the top. It's also in the video description. If you're not watching live, you can find it there. And so today we're casing the catalog. So we made this card first with the Reindeer Days, and this one second with the Painted Trees embossing folder. And our next card is going to use another one of my favorite sweets here. This card, we're actually going to come back to this because I started out by flagging this page. This is the Nest of Winter. And Mom and I shared this suite last week during our Sunday stamping video. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure to check it out. Here's the designer paper, 12 by 12, that comes in this suite. It's so, so friendly with these beautiful birds. These die cut from this page with the coordinating dies. And I love this one. I shared a whole bunch of samples in the video on Sunday, so you'll have to check that out. I brought a couple of them in to show you. These were some from, well, these two from Creativity Now. And then this is the one I made on Sunday using the elements from this suite. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous. Well, I was inspired by a more simpler card here in the catalog. I was inspired by, it's actually a gift bag right here. And the catalog supply list, I looked it up and it did not give me any measurements for the gift bag. I don't have that page printed, but it didn't have any measurements. And so I thought, you know what, I don't need to make a gift card. I can just turn that into a card. And so I started cutting some pieces to create a card. And I kind of was inspired by this one here, which has 2 layers of designer paper. I thought I would bring in that birchwood embossing folder. I used gray granite for this, and I wanted to kind of like peek it behind the designer paper. I got some basic black for the card base. I don't know, maybe I need to cut that a little bit more. I don't know. Anyway, I was getting things ready, a little circle. We could make a tag. This is for the inside. And then when I was looking through the catalog, I saw this layout, which is sort of just a whole lot more simple. It's kind of the same thing with the 2 different layers and then a circle. And so I thought I can still do that, and I can still cut a bird from the designer paper. So I'm kind of going with a more simple version here, but also being inspired by this one here. And so we're going to find that designer paper, and we're going to find a bird to cut out. These go with the dies, but I'm kind of leaning towards something that has a little bit of that gray granite, like this one. This one is so pretty too. I think it's just those 2 sheets that have the birds that you can cut out. So pretty. So I'm just gonna keep it simple and fussy cut one of these little bird images, and then we can, I don't know, maybe we'll make a little tag too. What do you think? Should we put the circle on a tag as it's done here? Or should we just do the circle kind of floating? Tell me what you think while I'm cutting out. I also really love having the twine around the top and making it kind of like a tied-on tag. And so maybe we'll do that part of it. Is this a chickadee, Melissa? I don't know my birds. I know cardinals, and I know eagles and crows, but I don't really know a lot of my little birds. Fun fact, my husband used to love bird watching, and we had bird feeders and a bird book and binoculars like in the kitchen. We used to get a lot of different kinds of birds, and then we had kids, and so that kind of all went away. I mean, it didn't go away, but just less time for staring out the window when you got kids running around. All right, so oh, Melissa, I love it. She says it's one of her favorites, the chickadee. That's really cute. I'm so glad that I know that it's a chickadee. Okay, so we got our chickadee, and yeah, okay, a lot of you are saying make a tag, so I can do that. I am kind of, I don't know how I feel about the cardstock behind the designer paper. I kind of feel like it gets lost, and certainly the texture gets lost. The tag, I think, uses the same embossing folder, and so I'm kind of thinking maybe skip this layer and just do the designer paper and then the tag with white. I like that idea, I think. So what do you guys think? Should we skip that gray granite layer back there? Does it just kind of get lost? And then if so, maybe we should make this layer a little bit, no, I don't know. I think the layer's fine the way it is. Okay, but we're going to make a tag. So let's get out some white cardstock for the tag. That's just what they did here. And here is a piece of white. I'm going to cut this to be 2 inches wide. That's just a nice size for tags. If you have the tag topper punches, 2 inches is the magic size that goes in the tag topper punch. Oh. Lorraine's asking about how to get birds to eat from your hand. My grandmother used to feed the birds and the chipmunks and the deer. They had a house out on the bay near Traverse City, north of that, and in Michigan. And yes, it was amazing. The deer would eat out of my grandfather's hand. It was so remarkable. And I remember feeding the chipmunks. They would come right out and eat from my hand. I don't know that I ever have fed birds out of my hand though. I'm sure my grandmother did though. That was something she just had a touch for, just a knack for. I'm going to do a little bit of embossing on this piece, and I was debating on what size to make it. Let's go with 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches, that looks good. This is a 2 3/8 inch circle. After I stamp the sentiment, I might change my mind a little bit, but I think that's going to be the right size for that. So let's emboss. I'm going to use the birch wood embossing folder, which I have right here. And thank you so much, Melissa, for making sure that I'm doing it the right way. The birch wood, those lines go horizontal instead of vertical. So if you're not sure, that's the way they go. And you can see that on the designer paper. So that's a little tidbit. Thank you, Melissa, for helping with that one. Okay, I have my embossing machine on the floor, so I just went down on down there to do that. All right, now if you want to add a little gentle banner tip on this, we can. So I'm just gonna go really shallow here, like a ½ inch or so. I don't want to make, I don't want a really deep banner. I don't want the banner tip to take up too much of the tag. I just kind of want that decorative edge. Oh, this chickadee is so cute. Let's bring in the stamp set. So the Winterly Treetops has a coordinating die set, so you can get the bundle together. It has that beautiful frame, as well as the dies that are going to die cut the designer paper and the stamped images. And then the other images there. I'm going to use the Sending Thanks and Much Love on the circle. And I really love the way this gray granite kind of pops against the white designer paper. I think that's really lovely. Let's get out our black Memento ink. We're gonna move our catalog for just a second. I promise I'll bring it back when we're all done, and we'll compare our ideas. Sending Thanks and Much Love. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. I really do love this. Let's get out the twine again. You know, I was really kind of hoping for some cherry cobbler twine. I see we've got more of a Cajun craze in here, and the navy and the green. And I think I lean towards the green. What do you think? I'm planning to go all the way around. Oh, I'm gonna go all the way around the designer paper. Actually, I'm gonna go around twice, like wrap it around and then tie a bow. And this is kind of like the original sample. Somehow, there we go. Needed to pull it some more the other direction. I'm just having a hard time getting the right amount in the front here. I think that's where it's going to be good. Oh, I put this on here and it looks really, really green. Some of you are saying copper clay. Let's see how the green looks since I've got it on here. But I'm having a hard time with the getting an even amount. I think that's going to be better. Hold the knots, play with the bow, get it to be just right, and then slide it over to one side. happened? It got all weird. I think you could go with any color of the twine. I'm seeing a lot of different answers. Melissa says copper clay. Rayleigh says green. I like that idea. Lorraine says make your own red thread, and you can use your Stampin' Blends to color the baker's twine, either from the essential pack, or you could color this to be a little darker than what it is right now. But I really think any of the colors of twine are going to look great here. I could see the original sample did use the navy, and I think that that looked really lovely. And I think copper clay would look really great too. One thing they did on the sample is they cut the ends of the tag just a little bit. And so I'm going to do that. Let me show you a little trick though. I'm going to cut with my scissors and just like cut whatever angle I want. Then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to turn it around and line it up with the other corner. And then I can use that as a template to cut the other corner so that it's exactly the same angle and the same amount. And that's how you get an even tag top, by using your scissors. Let's put these on with some Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to use dimensionals on the circle. And kind of have that hang off the side. I'm going to use dimensionals on the bird. Let's go up a little bit with our circle. Dimensionals under the bird. And I'm going to be strategic here because I don't want to add an extra dimensional on top of the circle. I just want the bird to be kind of the same height as the circle. So I'm going to use a little bit of regular adhesive to add the bird and the Stampin' Dimensional right under the circle. Do you see what I did there? And then I want to add the tag to the card with some Stampin' Dimensionals as well. You'll see I have an exposed dimensional here. And so I want that to be a 2 deep, 2 levels of Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to add one on top of the one that was already there and exposed. And you know what? It's going to be easier to put this on the card before I have a tag on the other side of it. Let's glue this down using lots of twine to go on either side of the lots of twine, lots of adhesive on either side of the twine. That's what I was trying to say, to make sure that that glues down well. And then slide that underneath there. So the tag is not actually tied on, but when you slide it underneath, you can make it look like it is. A little bit of an angle there. And I'm gonna have to come back and do something fun for the inside. I'm gonna leave it blank for now and save that for later. But we gotta embellish. We gotta add some embellishments here to this card. So let's bring out, there's a really great embellishment set that's part of this Nest of Winter Sweets. Let me grab that and we can take a look. It is called the Earth Tones Shimmer Gems. This would have been a really pretty one too on our, well, gosh, any of the other cards that we made. But I think it's really great with these birds and the nest. So I'm going to bring in, I kind of like some of this red, I think. And then one up here. Sending thanks and much love. Okay, let's bring in our original sample from the catalog and compare our cased project. So here's the catalog. We're on page 30 of the September through December catalog, and I kind of simplified the bag to create a similar project that was a card. So I didn't do the stamped bow, I didn't do the die cut branches. I changed the colors a little bit. I changed the twine and did the green instead of the navy. Oh, they actually cut off the berries. Interesting. They cut the berries off that designer paper piece. I like it better with the berries personally. All right, so there's my inspired, my project inspired there by the catalog on page 30. Tonight we have been casing the catalog inspired by projects that the Stampin' Up! Concept artist made for the September through December mini catalog. You can find the project supply list that I was talking about all night. You can find that linked up in the video description. And I will also add I will add the shopping list for the all the things that I used on tonight's projects, as well as measurements for the card. So if you want to copy my copy, if you want to case my casing of the catalog, you'll find all that information there. I hope you feel inspired by the projects that I shared tonight, and I hope that you will try making some of these cards at home or try some of these techniques at home. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the projects that I shared, and make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future card making videos. Leave a comment, let me know which of these is your favorite. Which one do you feel inspired to copy or case? I always love to hear what style you prefer and what you like. So I can't wait to share with you some more. Be sure to tune in on Sunday for Sunday Stamping with Susan and Julie. This week, Mom and I are sharing projects using the Regal Winter Suite. Now, despite the name Regal Winter, these fall colors in this gorgeous paper are amazing, I think, for year-round. But you're definitely going to love the projects that we have to share. So tune in on Sunday at noon Central Time to see what we're creating with Sunday Stamping. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I enjoyed chatting with you and stamping with you, and I always enjoy your company. All right, until next time, happy stamping. See you soon. Bye, everybody.